Right, let's buckle down now to the, of course, topics of the day that we're discussing this morning on people and politics. And the probing question is, should there be a presidential age limit in elections? That is a question Parliament is grappling with amid raging debate on the 2022 succession plan. Mohamed Mohamud, a Garissa resident, wants Parliament to amend the constitution and cap the age of candidates vying for political office to a maximum of 70 years. NTV's Trevor Mbija was in Parliament last week to sample some of their views. Take a look.
So in the next 60 days, the National Assembly is expected to discuss a petition that aims to stop anyone beyond the age of 70 from vying for the presidency of Kenya. But even before that happens, members of Parliament are already against it.
I think it's unfortunate because it's actually going to waste Parliament's time considering a matter that is basically personal. And of course, it is obvious that is personal, and the target is also known, as I've said. I don't think it's going anywhere, that kind of petition, because again, if for you to come up with such kind of legislation, it has to go to a referendum.
The best form of knowledge comes through experience. You're leading a whole country, 40-something million people, and you want to tell us that age, which is nothing else except a number, is going to be used as a determining factor. We're not going to allow that.
But then there is the issue of the proverbial leaders of tomorrow. Mohamed Mohamud, who is sponsoring the petition, claims that his petition will allow younger leaders to take up the leadership slots.
As of now, even a 22-year-old can vie for presidency, right? So age should not be a factor. It should be your means. How do you convince the electorate to elect you?
So what do the people who are meant to be governed really think?
I think that's the best news ever, because as youth, that's what we've been waiting for. And I believe that we need fresh thinking.
It's unfair because it should be open. Even if you are 100 years and so long as you are qualified, go for it.
In fact, if we can reduce even further to 60, because as you see, we have a youth bulge in Kenya.
We are the youth. We don't know when we'll be given that opportunity to be part of that leadership mantle.
And we want to rope in our panelists this morning to take us through that particular story, the presidential age limit debate, and a raft of other issues that we'll be discussing here this morning. Allow me to introduce to you the Deputy Leader of Ford Kenya. This is Dr. Boni Khalwale. Also, we do have the Secretary General of Ford Kenya as well. This is Dr. Esale Simiu. And we do have as well here in studio Jared Okello. Jared Okello is a Member of Parliament from Nyando. We do have as well with us this morning, I should say, Senator Kimani Wamatangi, who is a Senator from Kiambu. Right, of course, some of our panelists also they've gone for the devolution conference in Kakamega as well, so they send their apologies they could not make it here. But let's just begin with you, Boni, on this particular story, and you should tell us this particular presidential age limit debate coming at this particular time. It seems that as pundits are putting it, some executive members actually are the people who have furtively sent, even Mohammed, so to speak, to Parliament to come up with this particular bill, so that they may really or somewhat upset or try and encumber the presidential ambition of Raila Odinga. Do you stand with that particular, notion that is actually flying around?
I think this debate is nothing new. Every general election, we have seen an attempt to have legislation to provide for age limit. Such an attempt was made when they wanted to block Nyachai. I remember it was made when they wanted to block Kibaki. And therefore, if it is being proposed now, the oldest person among the aspiring presidential aspirants is Raila. So it would be trying to block Raila. To me, it's all nonsense. The voters should decide whether they want to use the age as a factor to elect their leader, or they want to use experience, or they want to use education. Whatever tool of persuasion that the voters settle on is what we should go by.
But should we treat it that lightly? Because we've seen what is done in Uganda. Of course, with the Parliament, you saw all the debacle that was there in Uganda because of trying to, also remove the age cap for President Museveni. This is what happened also, or what is happening in Burundi right now, as far as extension of a term limit is concerned and the age limit is concerned.
It is very dangerous for us to use Uganda, DRC, Burundi as countries to learn from. Those are basically dictatorships which we do not wish to learn anything from. I don't think it's right for anybody to bar people purely on the basis of age.
Fantastic. Let's hear from Honorable Jared Okello.
Well, thank you very much, Debarl, and good morning once again. Well, this is a really uncalled for debate at this point in time. We just came out of a very, very difficult electoral process twice in a row. And the very tenet of the handshake was to try to bridge gaps and have this country rallied behind a common goal of cohesion. And therefore, anyone inviting any kind of discussion with potential to create more friction is unwelcomed. And we are still in our early stages of post-election, and therefore any kind of debate that is not central to the benefits of the Kenyan people must be shunned. But, you know, suffice to say, you have clearly stated that this has created acrimony in Uganda. And we do know what happened late last year when this was brought for debate in the August House of Uganda. And, you know, the same kind of discord that it can bring within this Republic of Kenya. If you look at our Constitution, Article 137 is very clear as to qualifications or disqualifications for one to run to become a presidential candidate. And, you know, you look at all that which is encompassed, you know, empaneled within that particular article, and there is nothing touching on age. Now, political interest or political affiliation is a human rights issue. If you look at Chapter 4 of the Kenya's Constitution on human rights, political freedoms are properly anchored on that particular chapter. And then when you run back to Article 24 of the Kenya's Constitution, it talks about limitations on enjoyment of freedom rights. And if one has to gag a colleague, a political colleague, not to run because of an upper age limit requirement, then that negates the very fundamentals of the human rights. And our courts of law have pronounced themselves more times than number that when it comes to limitation of any fundamental right, it is not the work of politicians, it is not the work of parliament. It can be done by a court of law. Now, we know of many, many pieces of legislations that have been passed within parliament and have ended up in court and been rendered unconstitutional.
Yes.
So, you know, we do not want to get into a situation where the pieces of legislation we come up with as legislators would end up in court and be torpedoed and turned around. I mean, it comes with a cost, it comes with the credibility of a country, and it also brings friction between the judiciary and the legislature. And, you know, this is really totally uncalled for, and it is a human rights issue that we cannot just sweep under the carpet. This came up in 2004 when they were drafting the original constitution that was upset in 2005. And that particular clause was scrapped in 2004 in the draft constitution. So, because it had the potential really to be rejected by the Kenyan people, and we have listened to a few of the Kenyans' views,
yes,
and they are totally against this kind of thing. So, our constitution is classic and open-ended with equal opportunity for any Kenyan to run for any political office. And therefore, no one individual can try to gag the other when it comes to issues of age limit. And, you know, it goes against the very tenets of democracy. We just came out of, well, apart from the election, our constitution is also still advancing on several respects regarding democracy and democratic advancements. And if you have to bring an issue that really betrays the very tenets of democracy, then, you know, Kenyans are out there to reject such kind of a proposal. And, you know, we can't erect roadblocks just to create leverage to particular individuals so that they can have it easy. The very reason why this kind of debate is being paraded before Kenyans now is that there are certain individuals who are having their eyes trained on 2022 and would therefore use any sort of means to bar anyone who has the potential to beat them at the ballot.
Yes.
And therefore bringing this kind of debate so that if Raila Odinga, for instance, and he has not said he's going to run anyway, and he is not going to say he will not run anyway. So if somebody has Raila Odinga as the biggest rival in an election that is yet to happen, and is looking at means and ways of blocking him so that they find it easy, I think Kenyans will utterly reject this kind of debate. And I don't see it seeing the light of the day.
All right. Let's hear from Dr. Eseli as well. At this particular time, what will be your reading when we have this particular bill being introduced, when we just had a handshake and political jitters also, they've been sent among every political quarter that we know in this country?
I think somebody is just trying to be mischievous. But because it requires serious overhaul of the constitution to be able to put the age limit, with including the Bill of Rights and so on and so forth. However, the same way I've said about education, we keep on saying that like for now, to be a CEC in a county government you have to have a degree. But to be a CS in the national government, you don't need a degree. So, there are those fallacies that we have in our laws. And I've always said that education, as far as education is concerned, a degree is not a vaccination against idiocy and mediocrity. Similarly,
I like that.
Youth is not a vaccination against idiocy, mediocrity, and tribalism. So you cannot bar somebody based on age to run for an office. I think it depends on whether the person can convince the people to vote for them. So I think here we are playing with issues that are neither here nor there. I think we need to re-examine ourselves, especially when we start talking about age in the bracket of presidency and so on. I believe some of our leaders were even made when their fathers were over 70. So, so I think this is the biggest joke that they are somebody's trying to bring on Kenyans. I think the age limit on presidency is a non-starter as far as I'm concerned. But of course, Kenyans, as by right, they have been allowed by the Constitution to bring any petition to Parliament. However, whatever views we might have about it, but the relevant committee should look at it and come up with a reasoned judgment so that the Kenyan also feels that he's actually enjoying the new constitutional dispensation.
All right, let's hear from Omatangi.
Why don't you be kind and disclose to us at what age you were mad? At what age your father was when you were mad?
That is a non-issue. As you put it, let's hear from Omatangi.
Thank you, Debarl. And let me say good morning to our viewers, and also loud the debate.
I like the cut of your suit.
The cut of my suit?
Yeah, very nice.
I mean, I think you would like the cut of my brain better. Well, I'm heading to Kakamega.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
Fantastic.
And I'm doing a presentation later. Now, Debarl, I think it's important to clear to our viewers this morning that this debate arises out of a petition. And a petition is not a legislative proposal. A legislative proposal would probably be brought by Parliament, either by a legislator or a Kenyan through a legislator. And then that would be probably a proposal that would be on the track heading to become a law or to have force of law. The way Parliament deals with petitions, once you bring a petition, yes, is that one, it is read by the Speaker. After that, it is committed to a committee. And having it committed to the committee does not mean that necessarily it has, found the traction and elevation in debate in the Parliament, because it can even be defeated at committee level. And then for that matter, maybe not necessarily end up amounting to much. But now then delving into the debate just to inform it, I think I concur with what my colleagues here say. It has no place either in modern time with our new democracy, even by comparison in what has happened all over the world. If you look at people, you would argue at their times and the ages they were at, what have they done for their countries? For example, Debarl, remember the achievements of a president like Ronald Reagan of the United States. He was elected on the eve of his 70th birthday. That was the first election, and the guy was a performer. He's one of those that have made it in the history of the United States as having done commendable work. Look at the ages of people like Winston Churchill. Look at people like our own here in Africa, Nelson Mandela, Julius Kabarage Nyerere. I mean, those are leaders of outstanding achievements. And so if you just looked at the examples of that, if you go even internationally, look at people like who have led bigger countries, for example, like Germany. Angela Merkel is not a youth. She's doing very well. So I think we need to inform our people, and especially Kenyans, that the sooner we deviate and move away from that, the better. And one would want to ask themselves, if we are talking about introducing age limits, why only for the presidency? Why not for MCAs? I mean, why not for members of parliament and senators and governors? And that informs the debate, that this is largely intended to follow a certain political thinking or mischief, for that matter. And I think it deserves, yes, the airtime and the discussion, but I don't think it has a lot of impact or change that it will make to the debate. So I think we should let it rest at that. The committee will deal with it. But I believe if it came now for robust debate on in the plenary of Parliament, either as a legislative proposal, I would hardly think that it can find its way to becoming a law in this country.
Right. So let's see some of the reactions that we do have also on social media as well, just to highlight one or two of them, what people are thinking this morning about the age limit. Remember, you can head over to our Twitter handle, which is AM Live NTV. Also, AM Live NTV is a profile name on Facebook, and 20505 our SMS portal. We begin with what Zakoti is saying. Giving 70 years as the upper age limit for presidency will lead to too many retired presidents. This will be a burden to the taxpayer. We should be talking about 75 as a minimum age. That is what someone is saying. Also, we have whispers from the north. A degree is not a vaccination against idiocy and mediocrity. Quoting Dr. Eseli. Also, we have Joseph Waliula saying, I like that line from Dr. Eseli, that a degree is not a vaccination against idiocy and mediocrity. Also, we have Michelle Emali saying, we are not God to limit someone based on age term. Limits should be enough. Also, we do have General Kipkazi. He's saying, Parliament has lost its true meaning and have been reduced to executive mouthpiece. Also, we do have Sir Kennedy. I don't agree with Okello. Debate is the only avenue open for the progress of this country. We need it as much as possible. We have Sir Kennedy saying we should have it open for all without an age limit, but limit is to a one-time trial so as to reduce the pressure it brings. Also being challenged, saying the age limit and the executive change debates are all driven by Uhuru's succession, Ruto 2022. The current political debates are unhelpful and are dwarfing Jubilee Big Four agenda and Uhuru promises. Also, Zakoti saying, I think I read that. So those are some of your reactions.